Today on Monkey Life, Orangutan Gordon tries to come to terms with growing up.
Right now, we're still having a bit of a problem with the ladies realizing Gordon's inner beauty.
Chippy wows the woolly ladies.
Sara looks as if she finds him quite attractive, actually.
And the park says goodbye to one of its elderly residents.
Uncas was always near Alice's side, right up to her last days when she wasn't very well.
Monkey World, nestled deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and neglected primates from all over the world.
Hey, you! Hey, fluffy boy!
Wow, what a beautiful coat on him.
The park provides a home for more than 240 monkeys and apes, and the aim is to give them as natural a life as possible. At Gordon's orangutan enclosure, the boss is taking some exercise with his family. Gordon is now 14 years old and head of the group.
This year has really been Gordon's year to just shine, develop, and grow up into an amazing man. I mean, it's just quite shocking to me because the changes in Gordon have almost happened overnight. It's just simply amazing to see that little tiny baby that I knew from 14 years ago is now a huge male orangutan and even bigger than Tuan now, I think.
A far cry from when he was born at the park.
This is Gordon.
Gordon arrived prematurely, and it was touch and go whether he would survive. He was rejected by his mother Amy and had to be hand-reared by primate care staff, but every effort was made to keep him going.
We had nasogastric tubes, pediatric drips for him. I had friends of mine who were human doctors coming in to help consult on him, the local pediatrician coming in to help fix all of his drips and tubes. The fact that he's alive is a miracle in itself, really.
The team's hard work paid off.
It's just magic, and I feel really pleased for him, and to see him in the physical state he is now just goes to show that we've done the right thing with Gordon over the years, and he's thriving.
The last 12 months have seen dramatic changes in Gordon's appearance. He's gone from an adolescent boy to a fully mature male with the stature to show. His increasing size has meant a change in his behavior.
Whereas he used to fly around and run and play with everybody up in the climbing frame, where you start becoming an adult, it's not very easy to throw all of that muscle mass with the massive shoulders and the big head around up in the climbing frame. So, along with Gordon's newfound manhood has become a more sedentary life. So he's spending more time down on the ground and is a little bit less active and agile than he used to be.
As he's grown, Gordon has developed huge cheek pads on the side of his face. Most adult male orangs have these, but they don't seem to serve any practical purpose.
It is like the peacock theory. The cheeks are there to show any females out in the forest that they approach within their territory that I am a fully established, mature, proper male orangutan who is successful at what I do, defending my territory and being available and ready for all of the ladies that are within my territory.
But whilst Gordon might have all the physical attributes, he's got a bit of finessing to do on his courtship skills.
Right now, we're still having a bit of a problem with the ladies realizing Gordon's inner beauty.
His amorous advances have upset Ame so much that for now she's being kept separate from Gordon, and they have to take it in turns to use the outside enclosure.
Look what I got. Look at that.
I'm quite worried, really, because she loves hanging around babies. And how can she get pregnant if she sort of scared to male? Hopefully, though. Don't know, touch wood, finger crossed, one day she will change her mind and she will sort of accept Gordon is the man. Never know.
Hopefully with time, Ame will respond to some gentle coaxing, but Gordon's still got a lot to learn.
Gordon's mental and social abilities really need to catch up with his body, and it's left him a little bit out on a limb. He's now fully matured, but doesn't really know how to deal with the ladies. They're keeping him at arm's length, and it means that he spends most of his time sort of sat on his own. Like a teenage lad, you know, he's actually fully mature, but mentally he's really not there yet, and he's got a long way to go before the ladies are gonna love him as much as we do.
At the Woolly Monkey house, they now have a new dominant male to welcome. Last night, 12-year-old Chippy arrived at the park, and they're hoping he'll take over as head of Bueno's old group. His young pal Bronco came with him.
The boys have been quite calm overnight. They've done really well, settled in really well, and so we're going to go ahead and try and get everyone together. First plan will be to try and introduce everyone except Jerima and Ava. We're going to be a little bit cautious there because obviously Ava is still very young and we don't know how Chippy's going to react to such a tiny baby.
Since Bueno passed away, the family has been without a leader to make them feel secure. 5-year-old Paolo has ambitions in that direction. He's full of bravado as he rushes into the playroom. But he's not so brave when big boy Chippy enters. It's an anxious moment as the two males meet, but Chippy doesn't need to throw his weight around.
Paolo looks thoroughly intimidated by Chippy. He is quite a big boy, so I'm not sure Paolo's particularly pleased that someone else has come over and taken over the group.
Chippy's more interested in meeting the ladies.
Sara looks as if she finds him quite attractive, actually. They're sort of circling around each other, and then they've all sort of calmed down and they're sort of all sitting together in the cargo net and just trying to get to know each other. So he's actually been a bit of a gentleman so far.
It's all going so well, they decide to let Chippy meet the rest of the group. Young Enzo is first in, curious to find out what's going on. Jerima, with baby Ava, is more cautious.
Jerima at the moment is very protective of Ava. However, she does have to make friends with this new male, so she has quite a fine balancing act to do to try and go up and snuffle the male and be nice and friendly to him, but also make sure that Ava's sort of kept out of the way of that as well.
Chippy has a vital role to play as father figure to the group, so it's essential that he makes a good impression on Mum Jerima. The other newcomer, Bronco, isn't so confident. His mother died when he was young, and this big change is daunting for him with so many new faces.
Of course, we don't really know little Bronco that well at the moment, so we have to take everything at his pace. He's just sort of sitting in a bedroom, just taking it all in, and hopefully he will venture out eventually.
Jerima seems to like what she sees of handsome Chippy. She's even confident enough to let baby Ava go off and explore by herself. Bronco's weighing things up and so far has noticed nothing to be frightened of, so he finally plucks up enough courage to take a closer look at the others. And very soon, he finds a new friend in young Enzo. It's a promising start for this family.
We'll let them all sit inside the house and we'll see how the situation goes for the next few days and just let the bonds really come together.
Things aren't so happy at the cotton-top tamarind house. Old age has finally caught up with Alice. After 4 years of living happily at the park with her companion Uncas, last night she had to be put to sleep. Alice was already elderly when she first came to Monkey World in 2008, after she and Uncas were rescued from a puppy farm in Kent. Since then, Alice and Uncas have been devoted to each other.
Uncas was always near Alice's side, even right up to her last days when she wasn't very well. Uncas was never very far away from her, so he was very, very devoted to her.
Now, Uncas has been left on his own, and with no more cotton tops at the park to team up with, he's having to make do with Jethro for company. Jethro's the only Saki monkey here, so they're both in need of a friend.
They kind of more just share the same living space as opposed to really interact with each other. So it is better than him being in a house completely on his own, because he does have someone else that he can watch, he can see what he's doing, and if he wants to go and interact with him, then he does at least have that option to do so.
They're trying to keep Uncas occupied with extra treats throughout the day. And they can't leave Jethro out.
I've got some of Jethro's favourite things. These are some nuts. He absolutely loves his nuts, but he doesn't normally get them in shells, so that should provide a little bit of enrichment for him, as he's got to crack them open to get the nuts out inside.
The nuts are hidden alongside Uncas's favourite, waxworms.
You ready, Jethro?
But Jethro wasn't expecting to have to work to get at the yummy bits.
He's quite an old man now. He's a little bit fussy as well, and perhaps a little bit lazy. So these nuts which are in shells, he's not really figured out what he needs to do to actually get to what he would normally be eating inside.
Uncas doesn't fare any better with the nuts. But at last, he finds something more to his taste.
Insects make up quite a huge part of their diet out in the wild, and he would spend a very large proportion of his day hunting and foraging around to get the insects. So the fact that we can replicate that here for him and include insects as part of his diet is very, very important.
So far, Alice's death hasn't affected how the boys relate to each other, but it's very early days.
They live quite happily side by side, but it is just a case of kind of passing each other by, and that's not really changed at the moment, but obviously you never know what will happen in the future.
At the woolly monkey enclosure, primate care staff are preparing for the next step with new leader Chippy and his young friend Bronco.
They're all getting on really good. Everyone is starting to make friends, and we can see some real bonds happening. We're getting to the stage now, though, where they are getting a bit fed up being tied into the house, and so it's probably time to give them their outside area now.
With everyone still finding their place in the group, the team are doing all they can to head off any aggravation.
I'm sure they're all going to be well distracted by the enclosure itself, and just to make sure that no one's competing for any food, we've put lots of extra stuff out there. So as well as breakfast, we've also put a nice scatter out there as well, so they've got some cereals and some nuts and things like that.
They're all keen to get into the fresh air. It's all new ground for Chippy, but he makes himself right at home.
Chippy's come out, and all he's done is take his time to go and explore this new enclosure. He's quite comfortable in the fact that this is his territory now. This is his new family. He's happy in that knowledge, and now he needs to learn where his boundaries are.
Chippy's getting to know every inch of his new ground.
He's making sure that he knows where everything is, so that in the future, if he needs anything, he remembers where all these different things are within the enclosure.
Young Bronco isn't used to such big open space.
Where he was born and where he's lived until he arrived at Monkey World, the outside was just a small cage area, so this is a brand new experience for him to have absolutely nothing over his head and just be able to see the sky and nothing in between it. So I imagine it's probably a little bit scary for him.
But he's finding comfort in Urema. Bronco lost his mum at an early age, so he's had to manage without a mother's guiding hand for most of his life.
Bronco has just leapt on this chance to have a really nice female in his life and simply isn't letting Urema alone. And he's fascinated by the baby, of course, as well. He's never seen anything younger than himself before.
It's been a big change for all the group, but with Chippy showing no hesitation in taking charge of his ready-made family, it's all looking good for the future. And young Bronco has fitted right in.
He's having a fantastic time. He's got a new little friend in Enzo. He's got a new little baby sister in Ava, and I'm sure Ava's going to join in their games in a few months as well. So he's having a brilliant time.
Jeremy and Lewis are in Rostock on the north coast of Germany. They've brought over young orangutans Hsiao-Ning and Miri, who are about to start a new life in Rostock Zoo. They'll be living in the brand new ape centre, which is purpose-built with every mod con. Hsiao-Ning and Miri hadn't met before the journey, but they spent yesterday getting to know each other. And Sabas, the 8-year-old male they've come to join. For the first 24 hours, their meetings were not amicable.
At this age, it's like kids. It doesn't really matter. It's all huff and buff and anything you can do, I can do better and all this sort of stuff. It's very unlikely that we don't reach some happy medium because they all want company, they all want to play, they all want to hang out, and they're all a bit lonely and they all want the same, they've all got the same sort of requirements.
But it's vital that they do all get to like each other. Orangutans are an endangered species, and these three have a crucial role to play in the European breeding programme.
I think we're all in agreement that orangutans only realistically have a future in captivity. That's a horrible thing to even contemplate, but I think it's probably where we are. I mean, if you look at the news coming out of Borneo right now, it's not very good for orangs.
In the wild, orangutans can only be found on the islands of Borneo and Sumatra. A century ago, there were over 250,000, but they're now down to about 60,000. That's largely because of the destruction of the rainforests they live in, with 80% of their habitat being devastated by commercial logging in the last 20 years. And there's no sign of that slowing down.
With that in mind, then we've got to think of the future, and obviously selective breeding is the order of the day. And right now, we've got this fantastic facility that was built just for that purpose. So let's make use of it.
Miri's keeper Tanya is convinced this is the only way that Miri will be able to have her own babies.
There was no future at all at Twycross. She was in a family group, which is nice, but then they get to a certain age and then obviously she can't be with her dad. So coming here is the best option. And I really do think it's going to work.
The zoo's director has come to see his new arrivals and hear about the introductions that have been tense. Hsiao-Ning was testing everyone's patience, but Jeremy was sure they'd made the right decision to keep them all together.
I do not like in some places people put them together and then separate them. But once they're together, let them, it's up to them. And I don't think either of these two are going to make life-threatening injuries. You might get cuts, or you might not, but now it's down to these people. These orangutans, it's down to them. We have done what we can. I would not separate unless you really need to. Let them get on with it.
Hsiao-Ning spent all day throwing her weight around, and Sabas was determined not to be outdone. Everyone was hoping things would settle down overnight. This morning, things were much calmer.
Hello, Ning Ning. Hello, baby.
She looks a lot rested, a lot more fresh.
It looks like Jeremy was right.
I think they're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine, aren't you? And she's doing amazing. She's eating very well. She
just doesn't look any stressed, which that surprises me, but I'm so pleased.
Hsiao-Ning made her feelings very clear to Sabas, though. He's taken Oshine to quiet her Miri.
I don't feel as sad as I thought I would. It's a nice place, beautiful outside, nice keepers, and she's got a boyfriend. What more could she ask for?
Hsiao-Ning's got plenty of time to make amends when she feels like it.
It's been brilliant so far, so I'm really happy leaving her here. She's kind of settled, she's eating well, she knows the new keepers, she likes them, she likes her two new friends, so it's nothing else I can ask.
It's time to take their leave. For all Hsiao-Ning's unruly behaviour, they're going to miss her. But Jeremy knows it's for the best.
This whole exercise couldn't have gone better, and that's the time to quit. Run away, quit while you're ahead. And I'm really happy with everything at Rostock. The people are great, they obviously know what they're doing, the facility is fantastic. There's no reason to worry that I can see at all. And on that note, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Next time on Monkey Life.
Look at that tongue.
There's concern for Siamang Gibbon's Sasak.
You've got to suspect something fairly serious, but you just can't pin it down yet.
And woolly monkey Julio comes of age.
Really ready to set up his own territory and potentially branch out from Lavar.
This time on Monkey Life. There's concern for Siamang Gibbon's Sasak.
You've got to suspect something fairly serious, but you just can't pin it down yet.
Hananya's chimps go fishing for goodies.
They all have their own technique. Some are better than others.
And woolly monkey Julio comes of age.
He's really ready to set up his own territory and potentially branch out from Lavar.
Monkey World in Dorset is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and neglected primates from all over the world.
The sun is still beating down. He must be in the shade. Please, put him in the shade.
The park is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes from 18 different species. And the aim is to give them a safe haven for life. 12 months ago, Siamang Gibbon's Sasak came to Monkey World from Dublin Zoo to join Sam, the only Siamang then at the park. They are the best of friends and spend much of their time singing together up in the trees. When Sasak arrived, Sam had been desperately in need of a companion. He'd lost his devoted mate, Sage, who'd developed complications and died after swallowing a peach stone. Siamangs normally mate for life, and Sam was devastated. But the company of his young son, Onion, kept him going, and they spent all their time together. Then tragedy struck again, when Onion became unwell.
He's attached to the abdominal wall down there.
He was diagnosed with a massive, inoperable tumour.
This looks bad, Alison.
That's all right.
Yeah, I'm very sorry.
Sam was left all on his own. And it took months to find him a suitable mate. But as soon as Sasak was introduced to Sam, there was no doubt that the two Gibbons would bond. It was love at first sight for both of them. And within days, there were Siamangs singing at the park again. But now it looks like their honeymoon could be about to come to an end. For the last few weeks, Sasak has been off colour.
She's been sick a couple of times, but she's just very non-specifically not well. She's not eating or drinking, but she had 1 or 2 bits yesterday. She's just clearly poorly. And we haven't really got a handle on exactly what's wrong with her.
This morning, Sam is going to be on his own again, whilst specialist wildlife vet John Lewis carries out intensive investigations on Sasak. She had preliminary x-rays a week ago.
Looking at her history and looking at the x-rays, it still remains mysterious. So I don't know what's going on yet. But when primates do this, when they go off, generally off, then you have to take that seriously, because that's a very unusual thing for a primate to do if the problem is just trivial. You've got to suspect something fairly serious, but you just can't pin it down yet.
Because of the risks, John's aiming to carry out as many tests as possible, and then she won't have to be anaesthetised again.
We want to do repeat x-rays, possibly from different angles. I want repeat bloods. We're going to have some ultrasound done.
But before all that, they need to knock Sasak out, and that means darting her. Everyone but Jeremy stays outside, so as not to further alarm her.
She needs someone to
That
distract.
stayed in and went all the way back, I believe.
Then she's straight down to the hospital. It'll be a stressful wait for Sam. The last time he was separated from his family, Onion never came back. Everyone's hoping that history isn't about to repeat itself. At Hananya's chimpanzee enclosure, the gang are venturing out into the frosty morning. The ice has coated the hoses, making exercise a slippery business. But Hananya, the leader of this troop, has found a way of dealing with it. And he's not the only chimp to fancy an icy snack. Tico and Valerie are wolfing it down. But Tutti, Cherry, Honey and Zeynep have managed to find a spot of sunshine to warm up in. Meanwhile, indoors, the primate care staff are preparing a treat for them all.
This morning we made up this big mixture. There was lots of kind of Weetabix, bananas, honey, oats, some plums, kind of make it into this gloopy mixture.
The chimp's delicacy was added to their huge replica termite mound. And now Lynn is putting out the utensils for the chimps to forage with.
So then they use their sticks, break them up and fish around in the holes and pull out the stick, and then it all sticks to the stick, and that's how they get out the goodies.
It's one of the chimps' favourite treats, and they're making it pretty obvious they want to get started. There are no termites in the Monkey World mound, but Hananya's group are eager to get stuck in and see what treasures they can find. The high rankers get first pick. Peggy's the oldest in the group, and she's already perfected her skills.
They all have their own technique, some are better than others. What most of them do is just stick a nice straight stick in, so they'll peel back any sticky outy branches so they are left with a nice straight stick, and then stick that in the holes, draw it out and then lick off whatever is stuck to the stick, which is actually quite similar to what they would do if they're fishing for actual termites in a mound.
In the wild, chimpanzees have learned how to use twigs and blades of grass as tools so that they can get at the termites that live inside their huge mounds of earth without getting bitten. The tiny termites build mounds up to 9 meters high, but they live at ground level or underground. The towers are riddled with ventilation holes, which the termites also use to make their way in and out of their home. They attack anything else that enters them. So when the chimpanzees poke their sticks down the tunnels, the termites bite into them and are pulled out to provide a nutritious ready meal for the primates.
The actual best technique that I've seen is when some of them stick in sticks still with little bits of branches sticking out.
Arthur's worked out that 2 sticks are better than 1.
It's all getting caught in between the sticks, so he's getting quite a lot more stuff out than the others. So yeah, he's doing really well today.
With all the excitement, Johnny can't resist stamping her authority.
Sometimes that happens because there's not one hole for each chimp, obviously, so some of them do monopolise it.
Once the high rankers have filled their bellies, the less dominant members of the group get a chance to fish for some treats. Kiki, the newest and youngest member of the group, has just been looking for her chance to tuck in. Before coming to the park, Kiki had spent 8 years in solitary confinement in a cage by the side of a road in Beirut. She soon settled into this social group, but it's unlikely she's ever tried fishing for food before.
She did wait until everyone had dispersed. She went around the playroom collecting all different types of sticks. Then she's gone over to the termite mound and she's trying each one individually. She was really experimenting. She's even got 2 in there at the same time.
And Kiki's patience is rewarded. While the low rankers continue to forage, the chiefs relax and get 40 winks. Valerie's happy to relax and concentrate on more personal matters. At the Squirrel Monkey house, there have been major changes following the arrival of Charlie.
Good little man, what you doing? Hey, little boy.
2-year-old Charlie was removed from his previous owner after the RSPCA found him living in terrible conditions. He went to live with Fidget and his 3 girls, Sam, Topsy and Turvy. Fidget accepted him, and to start with, they all seemed to be getting on well.
The critical period is probably going to be in a couple of weeks' time when the ladies start deciding whether they actually like Charlie and whether they want him to be the leader of their group or not.
Sure enough, it wasn't long before the ladies chose Charlie over elderly Fidget to head up the group.
Possibly they had a nice, younger, more handsome man in the group maybe, so they decided to kick out the old man. So yeah, actually it was the females that turned on Fidget.
Fidget wasn't injured, but it was clear that he couldn't continue living with the girls and Charlie. So the decision was made to form a new pair consisting of just Charlie and Turvy. With his young rival out of the way, Fidget, who hates any kind of change, can stay in his old home with Sam and Topsy.
Sam. Good boy, Fidge.
Life is returning to normal for him.
Turvy's away from her other girls, so it's a little bit of a test for her, but she seems to be coping quite well, and when needed, Charlie does kind of cuddle up to her and give her that little bit of added attention, which she seems to appreciate. So for the time being, everybody seems happy.
And Turvy will now find out if she's chosen the right man. It's an anxious day for the Siamang Gibbon team. Sam's mate Sasak has been under the weather, and today she's being taken down to the hospital for extensive health checks to see if they can get to the bottom of her mystery illness.
Yeah, we'll just get a set-up, actually.
In either VD or DV.
Look at that tongue.
The less time Sasak is under anaesthetic, the better.
Clippers, please. Just oxygen for now. OK, so that's everybody out.
Vet David Harding is taking the x-rays. The team are hoping they'll give a clue as to what's wrong with Sasak.
That can't be what they were talking about.
John's taken blood for investigation, but unusually, Sasak doesn't stop bleeding from the injection site.
She did that last time. When we took blood last time,
Did she?
Took blood and I put my finger on it and then took it off. It didn't go on this long, but I had to.
Oh, that's interesting.
Go again.
It could be a sign that Sasak has a more serious problem.
I don't think it's as bad as
She's got a lump here. It does appear to be. But this is not dry scurf.
And John's not happy with her skin condition.
She has a kind of almost a greasy scurf all over the body, actually. Now, that can be to do with environmental conditions, or that could be related to liver disease. Yeah, and the liver, I think, given the bleeding, clotting time.
They're ruling nothing out. But when the x-rays are checked, the team are none the wiser about what's making Sasak ill.
You would have thought.
They decide to press on and do ultrasound examinations of all her internal organs in the hope that these will provide an answer. Dave's looking for any internal abnormality or a foreign body like the peach stone that caused the demise of Sage, Sam's previous mate.
Thing should be... Where's the wing of the ear limb? It should be here.
But there's nothing to explain Sasak's symptoms.
If that was a big impaction, then you should be able to feel it.
So far, the reason for Sasak's illness remains a mystery.
Weigh her and then wake her up.
Weigh her.
Where's the scale?
Get the lid. And the atapams.
We've basically been able to rule out a lot of things. She's a little bit dehydrated, and that will correct itself over the next 12 hours now we've given her fluids. She does have a very scurfy skin, which might be a red herring, but we have to add together all the various symptoms we have. The scans of the liver and the kidney and so on suggest they're normal, in structure at least.
Worryingly, they still haven't been able to pinpoint what's making Sasac sick. She'll need time on her own to come round before she can return to Sam, who's had a lonely day without her. At the woolly monkey enclosure, leader Levar is outside with the rest of his family. One of the group, Julio, is happy to interrupt his game and greet Alison, who is his first foster mum.
Shall we come over this side? Let's get better for him. Look at you. Isn't he fantastic? It's Julio. My little boy's grown up into an absolutely spectacular man.
Julio's lucky to be here after his difficult start in life in 2006. Alison first saw him the morning after he was born.
Kuna, his mother, had given birth. She didn't have hold of the baby, but his dad, Bueno, did. And you think, oh no, that's not gonna be a good situation, and will the male have looked after him or will he be injured? Bueno was sitting there wide-eyed, looking like he wasn't sure what to do.
Bueno had kept Julio warm and alive, but he needed to be back with his mum.
It was like just no way. She even sort of, I remember, leaned over and it looked like she was gonna be biting it to pull it off.
Hey, get in there, get in, hey! Grab the monkey, grab the monkey, grab the monkey. Jamie, grab it. Is the baby safe? Is the baby okay, Alison?
I believe so. We've got toes, fingers, I don't see any blood.
Julio became the first woolly monkey to be hand-reared at the park, but it was touch and go.
So, yeah, a little bit nervous, but then he was so tiny.
What's the weight?
313.
And when I got him home and started trying to feed him on human baby milk, the brand that we had chosen at that point in time really didn't agree with him, so he had raging diarrhea as well. And, you know, I worked very hard to sort of try and keep his fluids up and to keep him going, but at the end of the first week, it was looking pretty bad.
With help from the local premature baby unit, Julio eventually turned the corner.
As soon as I offered him that different brand of milk, it was like watering a limp flower. His eyes opened up and he started looking around, and clearly his body was able to absorb the nutrition.
Such a tiny baby also presented other problems.
And I also found out from the key to a vast improvement in life was the specially made premature baby unit nappies, which I could cut a hole into to keep all of his feces and urine under control, because before that I couldn't find anything small enough.
God, you smell. Yes, you stink.
Months of nappy changing followed, a wrigglier business than with a human baby. But their efforts were rewarded as he gradually put on weight and grew stronger.
No eating paper.
By 6 months old, he was fully integrated into Levar's group, where he continued to thrive. And today, he's a big, handsome grown-up.
Still has a little bit of filling out and growing to do to look quite as magnificent as Lavar here. But you can see he's already got that really strong, heavy brow ridge. The shoulder muscles have really come on. The base of his tail is just massive and strong. He's got very big, oily chest, so it means that he's going around scent marking and rubbing his chest and making sure that his scent is distributed around the enclosure.
Julio has almost reached full maturity, but the group already has its boss.
Luckily, Lavar here is just a really nice dominant male in showing him the way, because otherwise there could be trouble.
Julio will soon be ready to take on leadership of his own group, and he could have an important part to play in the European breeding program.
There's less than 50 woolly monkeys left in captivity in the world population now, so they're facing extinction both in the wild as well as in captivity, and it's just a real great shame. So, you know, really we would prefer to be having loads of little girls, because little girls can have the next generation and move on. But, you know, it's also important that we have good, strong males that have grown up in a multi-male society.
Lavar has been a very good role model for Julio, who now has the stature and skills to become a dominant male.
Now, I also notice whenever I go past a whole lot more, he's up in the trees displaying. So he's letting everybody know that he's coming into his own. Makes us really very proud, because usually an individual that is hand-reared would not have the full behavioral repertoire required to be the dominant breeding male of a group. But Julio ticks all of those boxes, and he's beautiful to boot. So as much as it perhaps will break my heart, I'm quite highly motivated to try and find him a place that he can go to where he can have his own group of ladies, because I think he'll just be brilliant.
At the Siamang Gibbon house, it's been a long day for Sam. He's been on his own while his mate Sasak has been in the park's hospital.
It is quite an ordeal, obviously, splitting them up, obviously taking one away. The remaining Siamang doesn't know what on earth is going on, so he's going to be worried, Sam.
So far, the clinical examinations haven't shed any light on what's making Sasak poorly. The blood sample has been sent to the lab, and they'll try her on a course of steroids and antibiotics. Sasak has now fully recovered from the anaesthetic and is ready to return to her friend. And he's delighted to have her back.
These two, they're just the best pair of gibbons, so close. So yeah, there's a lot of relief when you put them back together.
Sam's company is just what Sasak needs after a stressful day.
She's tucked herself quite quietly in the corner and snuggled up with Sam, yeah, just to keep her company, and is just resting now. It's pretty late in the day now, so it's pretty much bedtime.
Hopefully she'll feel better after a good night's sleep, but they must wait for the test results to see what the future holds for this faithful couple. Next time on Monkey Life. A new species for the park, but it doesn't go all according to plan.
They're actually just angry more than anything.
And a lesson in table manners from Oshine.
She knows much more than the kids do, and they are kind of watching and learning.
Today on Monkey Life. A new species for the park, but it doesn't all go according to plan.
Actually just angry more than anything that we're taking control of their home.
A lesson in table manners from Oshine.
She knows much more than the kids do, and they are kind of watching and learning.
And the capuchins are becoming a lot closer.
If you want to know if someone does like you, flirting's always a good way to start.
Monkey World, tucked deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and neglected primates from all over the world.
Last little leg into the forest, where we're really pushing the limits here to make all of this happen, so it's a really lovely team effort.
The park provides a home for more than 240 monkeys and apes, and the aim is to give them as natural a life as possible. Alison and Jeremy are about to set off on a rescue mission that will bring a new species of primate to Monkey World.
It's not a long journey, just across the way to Somerset, where we can get Hickory, Flint and Pumpkin, the spider monkeys. So, very excited. I knew that this might happen, but when we first met the spider monkeys, we had nowhere to put them. But I did have a plan in the back of my mind, so really pleased that the day's come and we can go get the spider monkeys today.
It's taken a lot of careful planning to get to this point.
Hi, you. I know.
3 months ago, Alison rehomed Jethro, the Saki monkey, at the park. Jethro was living next door to 3 spider monkeys who'd been rejected by their mothers at birth and were being cared for by Colin and Maria, 2 former zookeepers. Like Jethro, they needed a new permanent home, but there just wasn't a place for them at the sanctuary. Alison was determined to help them, and since then, the team have been creating a suitable home for the spider monkeys.
It required us to get a new enclosure built, and it's fantastic and beautiful and ready to receive the monkeys, so we're going to get them today.
The new spider monkey enclosure has been part of a massive renovation project at the Capuchin house. The interior has been completely gutted and rebuilt to make a much lighter, more manageable space. So the staff have been able to free up 3 bedrooms for the new monkeys.
I just didn't know whether you could do a little bit of a loop maybe on that one that goes across.
There's just a few hours to add the final touches before they arrive.
It's going to be busy down here because we've already got 60 plus capuchins, but I think they'll fit in well. I'm sure the capuchins will be interested about their new neighbours, you know, and we'll be able to just fit the husbandry of those animals around. So it'll be the capuchin team that will be taking care of the spider monkeys. They'll be doing their food preparation, they'll be involved in moving them, getting to know them, and I think they'll fit in well down here.
They'll have their own new, purpose-built outside enclosure specifically designed with spider monkeys in mind.
We can kit it out for, you know, the natural abilities of the species, so looking at the long body length, looking at the prehensile tail, those really long limbs, and kitting it out in a way that they'll be free to move about the space.
Spider monkeys live in the tropical rainforests of Central and South America, where they're under threat from hunting and deforestation. They live mainly on fruit, leaves, flowers and insects, which they gather high up in the tree canopy. They're very sociable animals, with family groups of up to 35, and their name comes from their very long arms, legs and tail, which make them one of America's largest monkeys. Unusually, they don't have any thumbs, but have evolved with strong, hook-like hands. The move will be difficult for Hickory, Flint and Pumpkin, but staff are doing all they can to make a welcoming home for them.
We've put down bedding. Spider monkeys are very keen fruit eaters, so we've put out some nice fruit items for them, and just see how they settle in before they meet the animals that they're going to be sharing their home with.
At the Orang Nursery, a special summer treat is being prepared for the gang that will keep them active and cool. Ape-size icy delights.
In those ice lollies, there is strawberries and juice. I'm hoping it's really tasty for them. I'm hoping they like it. They will be entertained for ages, that's for sure.
The youngsters look on curiously as the lollies are suspended. Oshine's much bigger than the others and always ready to grab some goodies.
I think Oshine is pretty likely to at least get one of them down and keep it for herself, but I'm hoping that it's so big that she's gonna get bored of it and then gonna give the kids a chance.
The youngsters waste no time in getting out to investigate the giant lollipops, but Oshine's even faster to stake a claim on hers. Contented Jolie's taking it slow and making the most of the delicacy. Baby Silvestre's keeping an eye on the others while he works out the best technique. But Oshine's showing no finesse. She just wants to get the ice down as quickly as possible.
Oshine is trying to bang the ice lolly against the pole. It's proving quite difficult. I thought she was going to do it much more easily, but yeah, she's struggling with that, and I'm happy to see that because she's been very active banging it.
The exercise is great for Oshine's diet. Linga's fascinated by her antics, but she's keeping a safe distance.
Oshine is a very, very intelligent orangutan. Well, she knows much more than the kids do, and it's really good to see her with the others because she uses techniques that the kids haven't seen yet, and they are kind of watching and learning.
Novice Jolie's going to need a lot more practice. For once, Oshine's happy to let them all get a share.
A few months ago, she wasn't that good. When she had food around, she used to push the kids away, even slap them if necessary. And now you can see her playing with the others. She's kind of trying to get the ice lolly for herself, but she won't do any harm to the kids, and the kids are not scared of her anymore.
The big girl's going for brute force, and her persistence pays off. Full of her newfound generosity, she lets everyone have a bit, while she settles down with the biggest, fruitiest chunk of all. There's plenty to go around.
They will still have ice lollies for ages, so that's the main thing, to keep them entertained for as long as we can, so they don't get bored.
Over in Somerset, Alison and Jeremy have arrived to collect spider monkeys Hickory, Flint and Pumpkin. Owner Colin has them confined in their bedrooms, all ready for the big move. And his wife Maria is inside with them, trying to keep them calm. Before they can start their new lives, the monkeys must first be enticed into a travelling crate.
Tell you what, if I can coax him up to this end, yeah, which is possible.
Jeremy's plan is to get one monkey at a time into the small outside tunnel, whilst they line up the box opening with it. Then they can tempt the monkey inside. Simple, but spider monkeys can be very highly strung, and Flint has other ideas.
Just sit the tail. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going in that boat.
Okay, go, go, go.
Despite his loud complaints, Flint's soon inside.
Cool. One down. One down.
Oldest boy Hickory's next into the tunnel.
Darling. Hello, old man. Where's my broom?
But he's even less cooperative than his friend. In the end, Colin gets half into the tunnel himself and uses a sheet of wood to push Hickory back into the crate.
There you go.
It's a whole lot of fuss and screaming with the spider monkeys, but actually we've got 2 of the 3 monkeys boxed up, and I wouldn't exactly say willingly, but they did walk into the box and we didn't have to manhandle them into the box.
They're leaving no one in doubt about their feelings.
The screaming that you hear is that they're actually just angry more than anything, that we're taking control of what is their home. And I guess that's what a lot of people forget sometimes, is that these zoo enclosures are actually their homes. Sorry, are we okay?
Yeah, we're safe.
So, time for monkey number 3.
But Pumpkin has seen what's happened to her friends, and she's having none of it.
Come on then.
There's only one solution.
Right, net time.
But nimble Pumpkin's more than a match for Colin. And Jeremy fares no better. Hard to tell who's the most frustrated. But Pumpkin wins the day, so far. Then, inadvertently, Pumpkin goes into the tunnel herself, and it's back to plan A.
Left of it.
This time, Pumpkin gives in gracefully and allows herself to be pushed back into the box.
Right, ready to go. 3 monkeys in the box, not too bad. We'll now have about 2 hours back to the park, get them settled inside the house, and that'll be enough for them today. So, although, of course, they've got the 60-odd faces of the capuchins who are all going to want to say hello, but...
in at the deep end.
Welcome to Monkey World.
Part of Monkey World's mission is to allow primates to live as natural a life as possible in social groups. And that seems to be working well at the capuchin enclosures, where love is in the air.
If you want to know if someone does like you and maybe wants to hang out and have a bit of a play or whatever, flirting's always a good way to start. They'll raise their eyebrows and do quite a massive grin, some of them, and then they will start with the chest rubbing as well. And, you know, if the other animal that they're directing the flirting towards responds in the right kind of way, then they'll get closer and closer, and it just goes from there.
Nature's lent a helping hand to some of the troop.
Capuchins have got very expressive faces, particularly the tufted guys. That also plays a role because it obviously accentuates the way that they do flirt. And, you know, we've got some very impressive tufts going on in the capuchin section. The nigritas ones like Amy and Tao, they've got quite large tufts, and this just all sort of accentuates their whole face.
A gentle approach can sometimes do the trick.
Some are quite sort of shy and reserved, so when they do flirt, it's sort of a gentle raising of the eyebrow and is quite sort of sweet and shy.
But there's no stopping some guys.
You do get ones like Donnie who are very over the top and you know, the expression on their face is just excited. But yeah, it's all to do with, I think, personality as well.
In Tao's group, one lucky boy's got no problem pulling the girls.
Tao's got the attention, yeah, of Babe and Esther, but and also Debbie. But we've also got Joanne, who's been making a bid, and she's very persistent, really, really wants to get his attention, but unfortunately Tao doesn't want any of it. So she's been told off a few times, but it hasn't really dented any of her enthusiasm, unfortunately. If there is a lot of positive interaction and flirting going on, it's only going to help strengthen bonds within the group, and hopefully we'll have a more cohesive group because of that.
And if your flirting technique fails, you just have to think of another way. Two hours after Alison and Jeremy left Somerset with spider monkeys Hickory, Flint and Pumpkin, they arrive back at Monkey World. Previous owners Maria and Colin have also come to help them settle in.
Everybody was really quiet the whole way. In fact, stopped and sort of stuck my head in Colin's car at one point in time, and Pumpkin's far more chatty. 2 boys have been silent the whole way, so we can only presume all's well in there, but be glad to get them into the house.
The 3 spider monkeys will be sharing a house with 65 capuchins, and they're eager to get a look at the newcomers.
Hi, Terry. Well, look at them all looking.
The capuchins are kept outside while the spiders get their first look at their new home. They waste no time in getting out of their travelling crates, and despite the unfamiliar territory, there's none of their earlier tantrums.
Excellent.
A lot more settled than I thought they would be, actually. They're a lot less hysterical than they could have been. So no, they're doing very well.
Naturally, they're a bit bewildered by all the new sights and smells.
Spider monkeys are looking great. Fantastic. I know. What are you thinking, Pumpkin? Yeah, you're a good girl. So yeah, I just like to see, I know. See them moving around the bedrooms a little bit more, but it's only been the first half hour, so pretty good.
It's all going so well, they decide to let the capuchins back inside. It's about to get a whole lot noisier as the nosy neighbours come pouring in for their evening meal. Hickory, Flint and Pumpkin find themselves surrounded by inquisitive, chattering capuchins. They just don't know what to make of it all. But Colin knows them well enough to be convinced it's just a matter of time.
Everything's new. They've got all the new monkeys around them, which they're not used to. All the different keepers' faces, which they've got to get used to. So there's so much going around, and they can't really sort of take it in, but give them a couple of days.
It's been a busy day for Jeremy, and it's not over yet. He's got an important job at the Orang nursery, where it's time for Oshine's regular weigh-in. There's no leaving it to guesswork.
She appears to have lost quite a bit more weight, but I often think that, but whenever I get on the scales, it's never quite what I think it ought to be.
When Oshine was rehomed from South Africa in 2010, she was grossly overweight. Her passion for pastries got her into a lot of trouble, and her owner found it difficult to stop her raiding the kitchen.
What do you want? What do you want? I can take your pepper biscuits. Come on, let's go.
With little exercise and an unnatural lifestyle, her waistline expanded until she tipped the scales at 100 kilograms. But all that came to an end at Monkey World, where she was put on a strict diet and started playing around with the rest of her group. That did the trick and the kilos came off, but she's still got a way to go. Every weigh-in, the staff have a wager on what she'll be.
I reckon somewhere around 65. But hey, I have been wrong before. You might find that unbelievable, but it is true.
Young Silvestre has played his part in keeping Oshine on the go. But today, they've got to get her on the scales without her sidekick.
Hello, gorgeous. Come on.
Everywhere Oshine goes, Silvestre goes too.
You can sit there. You're gonna sit there. Go on, get on. Okay. Right. Now you've got to let go of that. Let go. Silvestre's hanging onto the mesh at the moment.
Silvestre, up here, buddy. All right, Louis, what is it, Louis?
No, hang on. No, she's got hold of him now.
He's eventually persuaded away from the scales whilst Louis reveals the truth.
Now, what is she now?
67.8.
What about now?
60.
Tell me when it's 65. I'm lifting it up.
Despite Jeremy's attempts to cook the books, Oshine comes in at under 68 kilos. And while they're about it, they check Silvestre's weight as well. It doesn't take much to get him back on the scales with his protective friend.
Now, look, we got polos. Whoa. Good boy, come here. Oh, look, she's letting him smell her breath so that she'll be...
Less Oshine's total, he's 10 kilos. No concerns there.
Oh, God, no kissing. No kissing.
Oshine's going in the right direction.
Well, she's done OK. She hasn't done as well as we thought she had. She's 67.9, so that's just over 2 kilos she's lost, which is fine. I mean, it's lost. But the thing is, it's not just losing weight, it's also being fit. I think, you know, what we've done, we've substituted fat for muscle. and she's a lot more flexible than she used to be when you look at her climbing around and, you know, when she's playing and wrestling with the little ones. So therefore, she's a lot fitter, and that, you know, has got to be a lot more healthy for her generally.
Next time on Monkey Life. 2 lives at risk when woolly monkey Sara goes under the knife.
Is the baby stuck? Is it in a funny position? Is indeed she pregnant in the first place?
And golden-cheeked Gibbon Tio takes his first wobbly steps, 20 metres high.
You feel very much like his protective parent watching him go off. You're like, oh, be careful.
This time on Monkey Life. 2 lives hang in the balance when woolly monkey Sara has emergency surgery.
Is the baby stuck? Is it in a funny position? Is indeed she pregnant in the first place?
Golden-cheeked Gibbon Tio takes his first wobbly steps, 20 metres high.
You feel very much like his protective parent watching him go off. You're like, oh, be careful.
And the capuchins taste test camellias.
Capuchins in the wild, they will eat a lot of flowers and things like that.
Monkey World, tucked deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and neglected primates from all over the world.
They're all going to have a chance to live proper lives again.
The park is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes from 19 different species. At the Woolly Monkey House, the team are concerned about Sara. When they arrived this morning, she looked okay, but primate care staff could see the muscles in her belly contracting.
I got a call this morning to come in quickly because it would appear that Sara, our female woolly monkey, is going into labor. Now, we didn't even know she was pregnant, so I've come in very quickly just to come down and have a check and see what we think is actually happening.
Sara's always been a big girl, so any pregnancy has been kept well hidden from the team. She was living in Bueno's group before he passed away 2 weeks ago. They hadn't noticed her showing any interest in Bueno, but if she is pregnant, it will be his.
This baby would be just lovely and full of emotions, because if indeed she's pregnant and giving birth, this is Bueno's baby. And of course, we've just lost Bueno, so it'll be a nice tribute and reminder of Bueno and sort of, you know, a little bit of him left behind, which would be fantastic. But at the moment, I feel like I'm tempting fate by even talking about it. We just need to get Sara through this process in one piece.
Sara came to Monkey World in 2010 from Kentucky, USA, and quickly settled in.
Finally, well done.
She's well and truly helped herself to dinner. She's had bananas, grapes, all sorts. She's had a bit of a scratch with some of the keepers, which apparently she really enjoys, so I think she's relaxing a bit. And she can't think we're too scary, or she wouldn't be helping herself quite so enthusiastically. She's actually waiting now that I'm talking, sorry. There we go. Sorry, is that good? Oh, and a little trill. That's a very happy woolly monkey noise, so things are going okay.
She was soon accepted as a member of Bueno's family and endeared herself to everyone with her quiet ways. This baby wouldn't just be important to the park, it would be a significant addition to the small captive population of woolly monkeys left in the world today.
Really, Sara's quite an incredibly valuable individual. She was the last female woolly monkey in America and therefore unrelated to any of the individuals in the very small European population. So she was sent here to breed, to become part of our group and to be a reproductive female. So this is what we've all been waiting for.
This morning, the rest of the group are being kept separate, but they're unsettled by all the activity. Hours pass and things don't progress for Sara, so specialist wildlife vet John Lewis is called in.
It looks like a pregnancy, looking at the shape of her abdomen. She was seen having contractions as if she was going into labour this morning, which have faded away. She's very uncomfortable. I think she's having difficulty giving birth. Most primates, actually, you will find the baby in the morning. They give birth at night. Presumably it's a safer time if you have predators to worry about, etc. And she hasn't, so I think she's in a bit of difficulty with it.
They need to get Sara down to the hospital as quickly as possible.
I think with cases like this, if you can get in, anaesthetise and determine what's going on and resolve it, before the animal actually looks ill, before it starts looking collapsed, you stand a better chance of getting a good result.
Any delay could be life-threatening for Sara and her unborn baby.
Once we've ascertained what the issue is, then we either deliver, let's assume she's pregnant, we either deliver the baby in the normal manner, or we move to the caesarean section, or whatever's appropriate. Are you coming to help?
Golden-cheeked Gibbon Peanut had no problems giving birth to baby Tio. 6 months ago, primate care staff came in to find him clinging to Mum, and they were soon out swinging through the trees. Tio was her third child, and she'd no qualms about being a mum.
The baby certainly seems to be very strong, and we've seen baby suckling quite a few times already, so we're really happy with that.
For the first 2 months, Peanut was very protective of him, and Tio never left her.
By 3 months old, Tio was actually starting to have a bit more of an interest in the world. So instead of just looking at things, he was starting to stretch his hand out and touch the things that were around him. And gradually over time, that's kind of developed from touching it to actually grasping it and taking it.
Tio grew stronger and more confident and began foraging for himself. Now, at 6 months old, he started to venture away from his mum.
Very much like a baby's first steps, he is very wobbly and gangly, but the scary thing is that he's doing that at height.
Tio's world is up in the tall trees, and he's well camouflaged against golden-coloured Peanut.
Kind of terrifying, but amazing to see, obviously, him developing into a little boy. It's great. You feel very much like his protective parent watching him go off. You're like, oh, be careful, but he don't care. He just gets on with it.
But Supermum Peanut is never far away.
Even at this tiny size that Tio is, she is letting him come off of her high up in the trees. She's letting him explore and test the world around him. But she is always within arm's reach of him. She is giving him that freedom, but she's ready to grab him at the slightest sign of trouble.
Big sister Hsiao-Ning has been besotted with Tio since the day he was born, but to start with, she had to be content with just watching and getting close to him.
Now that he's off and being a little bit more independent, he's just as curious about her as she is with him. So they are actually having some very gentle play sessions. They're also having some little grooming sessions as well, and Hsiao-Ning is obviously loving and doting having a little brother to have some fun with.
Dad Peng Yo is far more interested in hanging out with 5-year-old son Tien. They're happy to leave child rearing to the girls.
They are much more independent off doing man stuff, which is absolutely fine. That's the way it should be. It's very good for Hsiao-Ning to have the experience with a little baby, but the boys don't really need that experience, so they can get off and do their own thing at the moment.
Tio still has a lot to learn before Peanut will allow him to go off with the boys.
He's never going to be out of sight of her for years to come yet. The great thing about this enclosure is he can actually get quite a distance away from Mum but still be in line of sight as well, and he can have lots of fun and activity with his brother and sister. He's got a whole family to look out for him, so he's a very lucky little chap, actually.
At Chippy's woolly monkey enclosure, the team are trying to get to the bottom of what's going on with Sara. First thing this morning, she appeared to be in labour. now her contractions have stopped. It's not going well, so she's been anaesthetised and taken to the park's hospital where vet John Lewis can check her. His examination confirms the pregnancy, but as Sara hasn't been able to deliver the baby herself, the decision is made to carry out a caesarean section. It will be the first woolly monkey at the park to be delivered in this way.
Light's about to start opening, so I'm just...
It's a worrying time for everyone.
Pull the sleeves up from inside as well.
This is emergency surgery, and many things could go wrong. Sara's life and that of her baby are in jeopardy.
Good deal of fat.
Park vet Mike Nathan is carrying out the vital surgery.
There's the ovary. Blood pressure might drop.
Once the incision is made and the uterus in view, they can see the outline of the baby inside it. But it's not over yet. The tiny new life has still to make its entrance to the world.
Oxytocin coming up, please, 0.25. Can't call it Maria then. Can I have some oxytocin, please?
Alison gets straight to work, stimulating the baby to breathe for himself. The next few minutes are critical. The baby woolly's been delivered successfully, but they must get him breathing properly if he is to survive.
Getting little bubbles and gasps, are we?
Following woolly monkey Sara's caesarean operation, her new baby is alive, but he's not breathing freely.
We're not going to need it quite yet.
Whilst Mike Nathan finishes off Sara's surgery, Alison and John Lewis work on the newborn.
I'm going to get another suction ready, 10mm syringe and a long catheter.
The syringe will draw out any mucus and clear his airways.
Hold his head back.
Everyone starts to relax and welcome this new little boy to the world.
It's a bit of a rough start. Yeah, that's not dissimilar to the other faces I've seen. It's a rough start. Oh, the tail moving around as well. Yeah, the tail's well tightly curled. It's healthy, baby.
All the while, Mike has been continuing to work on Sara.
We just need to make sure that Sara's now fit and healthy and get her back on her feet, and then we all want Sara to care for the baby, and this is important. It's her first one, so it'd be good for her to know what to do.
Alison, I'm happy.
It's rooting.
While Sara's asleep, it's a good opportunity to give the little one a meal. Mum's first milk will help boost his immune system.
It's got a good prep. Look, he just starts gnawing. When he latches on and feels it in his mouth, he really starts gnawing away, so... Yes, that's Mike.
With Sara still unconscious, it's up to Alison and the team to keep the newborn alive.
Right now, his most important thing is getting fluids in, keeping hydrated. Not even that worried about the milk, but just that he gets enough fluid in over the next 24 hours. Keeping him warm, which is what I'm doing right now, while they finish up on Sara, and then we'll have to decide how we play this.
Sarah's unaware that she now has a fine baby son and he could come as a shock to her.
I'd be inclined to let her have it and come round with it because I think that's more natural than waking up from something scary and then have somebody handing you him. That's my gut reaction, but I'll make a decision on that. But healthy baby.
Sarah's first reaction to her baby will be very important. Everyone's hoping she'll want to nurse him and that he won't have to be hand-reared.
Yeah. So good timing.
Outside, the heavens have opened and the capuchins are tucked up inside their cozy house, keeping warm and dry. But the capuchin team have plenty of ideas to stop them getting bored and keep them active.
We've got a big pile of tubes that we've put loads of treats and straw inside, so hopefully a little bit more interesting and different and something they don't get every day. So we're just going to hide them all over the place.
And there's seasonal enrichment as well.
We've also got some camellia flowers that we've put in these baskets. Capuchins in the wild, they will eat a lot of flowers and things like that.
The capuchins regularly have treats, and that's especially important on days like this.
It's nice to actually do a lot of enrichment and stuff on wet days, as you know, like us, sometimes they're sort of a little bit down with the weather. So once they've come out, had a really good time out here, then you know they can head on back in where it's warm, and at least it's sort of burnt off a little bit of energy for these guys because they are, you know, very high energy, active type of group.
After all the movement of the last few weeks, the capuchins are now living in 4 mixed-sex groups. Winslow's gang has 19 members, most of them quite young.
Hey there, boys!
6-year-olds Fabian and Donnie are first out. Leader Winslow's not so keen on venturing into the wet, and that means the lower rankers can get first pick of what's on offer. Elvira and Frida don't mind the rain, but they're not so sure about actually eating the brightly coloured blooms. Fabian's focused on what's filling the socks. He's determined to get his share. There must be a way into this. Wily William's waiting his chance. When it comes, he goes for a more direct method. It's worked, and he's got the girl.
It was quite a big decision to mix up the groups. You know, we didn't want to sort of turn their worlds completely upside down, but we were pretty confident that this was going to be the right thing to do, and I'm pleased to say, you know, it has worked a treat.
But today, Fabian's ended up with nothing, so he's taking matters into his own hands. Following her successful C-section, Woolly Monkey Sara and her new baby have left the sanctuary's hospital to spend the night in their own bedroom. The team are hoping that Sara will feed her newborn and go on to rear him herself. But she's just had major surgery, and this is her first baby. Group leader Chippy and the rest of the family have been waiting for Sara to return. And they're curious about what's going on. When vet John Lewis emerges, it's not good news.
The mother is woken up and hasn't picked up the baby so far, but she's still, suffering from the after effects of an anaesthetic, albeit rather short. So we're going to give her a little while with keepers watching her and see if she goes back and picks the baby up.
They're still hoping that Sara will prove a natural mum, and she's being given every chance to get used to the baby. But as night falls, that's looking less and less likely. When Alison comes out, she's carrying the tiny woolly monkey.
Got a bit of blood and a bite on the back. Sara came out of her box and went up onto a shelf without the baby. And we left the baby in the box sort of squeaking a bit for a while, hoping that she might go down and pick it up. Finally, I was worried that it was getting a bit chilly, which it is. That's why I've got my coat back to front. And it's got a little bite mark on its back. So I think as she came around in the box, she, wanted it off of her.
They can't risk leaving the newborn with Sara any longer. Everyone's hugely disappointed, but they haven't given up.
So it's not end of days yet. Obviously, I'll look after the baby overnight, and then maybe tomorrow morning when Sara's feeling a little bit better, maybe she'll stand a chance.
Before anything else, they need to check how bad the baby's injuries are. He's got a bite at the base of his tail.
But he's lifting the tail, though. It's not...
Yeah, hold that up, Alison.
You're all right, little man.
It's one of the worst places to be injured.
The tail for a woolly monkey is everything, so we really want to make sure this little lad has full use of his. Little man. You're okay. That's a good little bite. He's young, he'll heal rapidly. Hopefully the tail will knit back together just fine and he'll have full use of it. I do feel, yes, the tail is curling up in my hand right now.
Despite his traumatic start, he's a strong baby. It's been a long day, and both mother and baby are going to need a lot of care and attention in the days to come.
I'm just glad that Sara's still with us, and I think she'll be fine. We still have to get her through the night and know that she recovers from her surgery, but I think we're okay. And this little guy, he should be fine, but we're going to need to keep an eye on his tail.
Next time on Monkey Life, orangutan Arme heads for home.
Yeah, she knows where she's going. Oh, isn't she lovely? I love her so much. She's gorgeous.
And it's bottle feeds and nappies for the latest baby woolly.
He's just tiny. He's only 420 grams, which is why we have to be really vigilant.